Howdy, and welcome to the Bar SC Ranch, where you will experience our journey of running a family business, caring for animals, and doing life together. Subscribe now and be inspired here at the Bar SC.
Before we get into actually how to put the bridle on the horse's head and how to properly take it off of the horse's head, I wanted to go through just a few simple types of bridles that we have and what their parts are and how it's going to look using our skeleton here once it's placed into the horse's mouth and on the horse's head. So if you come on over here, we have a very simple Western bridle. This bridle has a very simple brow band, a simple crown piece, simple cheek pieces, and a throat latch. And then the reins that come off of the bit. The bit is the part that's going to go into the horse's mouth. We're going to learn how to place it in gently without disturbing the teeth. But this bridle is, again, very, very simple Western snaffle bridle. This one that we have here is a very simple English snaffle bridle. So what makes this one a little bit different, we still have the reins that come off of the snaffle bit here, but we have something called a nose band, very, very common on English bridles. Also the brow band, the crown piece, and the same kind of simple cheek pieces that you saw on the Western bridle. This bridle is pretty much essentially put on the same way as the Western one, but there are some tricks because you've got added pieces. I do have one singular piece over here. This is a Western noseband. The cool thing about a Western noseband is oftentimes this piece is not attached to the bridle, and it can be placed underneath or placed on the horse's face before the Western bridle, but it's not, you don't have to worry about it with the bridle when you're putting it on the horse's face because it's a separate piece. Before we put the bridle onto our real horse, I'm just going to show you really simply how it fits onto our really neat little skeleton that we found out back when we moved here. So this is a horse's skull. Again, we don't know what horse it came from. It just is a skeleton that we were able to find out in the backcountry. It was pretty cool. I want to point out that horses are so unique and really, really neatly created or made. When they are born, they have a space in their mouth called the bars of the mouth. It's right in here. The bars of the mouth actually have no teeth growing there. So you see that we have all the molars up in here. We've got the front teeth here, both top and bottom. But this space, both top and bottom, where horses do not grow any teeth. So we do not have to remove any teeth when you put a bit in a horse's mouth, which is pretty cool. Just so that you can see what it looks like without all the horse's skin and tongue and teeth, or skin, tongue, and lips there. I'll show you, but when we go ahead and put the bridle into their mouth, they'll open their mouth up and then the bit will sit right in there. So that, as you can see, no teeth are injured. The tongue sits below the bit in the mouth, and then their lips and everything fit around the bit, and so it's easy to help guide and direct our horse that way. Here we're going to be putting our very simple snaffle bridle onto our Western horse, Paloma. When we place this type of a bridle, we can actually place it over a halter. We do that often here on the ranch because we use these horses as trail horses. We take them out into the backcountry, and sometimes we would like to eat lunch out there or need to tie our horses up for whatever reason. So I'll actually place this this bridle over the halter. Traditionally, that is not how it is done. Traditionally, you're going to want to remove the halter first before you place the bridle on. So I'm going to show you how we would do that. We're going to just take the top of our Hamilton halter here. We're going to leave it around her neck. That's going to help her, if she decides to walk off, I can just grab it and keep her here instead of having her be loose. So we'll leave it around her neck. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the reins. The reins we place gently over the horse's head. So I make sure not to whack them in the face or take out their ears or anything like that. Then I'm going to bring her nose closer towards my direction, tilt it to the left. I'm going to go ahead and bring the bit up to her mouth. I'm going to use my hands and and super gently place my thumb into that space that is in her mouth, the bars of the mouth where there aren't any teeth. I'm going to place it in there and ask her to open up her mouth. There we go. And then I'm going to hold the bridle up here. That way it's comfortably sitting in the bars of her mouth. And she's going to say hello. Comfortably sitting there, but not hurting her teeth at all. I'm then going to use my right hand and bring that ear forward, because I don't want to squish the ear when I'm putting on the horse's bridle. I'm going to bring the other ear forward as well as I place the crown piece of the bridle over her head. Now once that's on, and see, she was very comfortable and not irritated that I was doing that, I'm going to go ahead and secure the throat latch. The throat latch should come back behind the horse's actual throat area. It should not come up underneath their cheek piece, or their cheekbone right here. It should come back along their throat. We want to make sure that there are 3 to 4 fingers of space in that throat latch. And this is simply because this piece is meant to help hold the bridle on if the horse is rubbing on a fence post or doing something goofy, rubbing on their leg. But it is not meant to choke them in any way when you are using the bridle. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on the first hole here. And I'm looking at it, it might be a little bit loose there. I'll put it on the second hole. That still gives me 4 fingers width in there, so I like it there on the second hole. We'll secure the end or the tail of the throat latch into the keeper. We don't ever want to leave that out, because it's really easy if a horse starts rubbing for them to take off any of these pieces that are buckled in if they're not securely fastened in the keeper as well. So that is, and then before I ride, of course, I would remove my halter. And now I have full control over the movement and wherever my horse goes, just simply with the bit and the bridle. So once we have gone for our ride, and it's time to remove the bridle from the horse's head, we want to simply take our reins. I bring them up to the crown piece right here, just so it's going to be easy to take the whole bridle off. We don't want to leave the reins back here and then realize that the bridle's half off and they're stuck on our saddle or stuck somewhere back here where it might jostle and jar the horse's mouth or cause the bit to whack him in the teeth. So as long as the reins are up here, the reins are free to move the whole bit, all of it together. That's the best place to be. We're going to go ahead, and before you remove the bridle, it's very important to take this throat latch off. It is designed to, for the most part, keep your bridle on if they rub. So we want to make sure we take that off. And then we're going to gently lift the bridle up over the ears, and then I hold it up here. I give it a few seconds and let the horse drop the bit out themselves. If you don't let them do that and you just pull the bridle off, it whacks the horse in the teeth, and eventually doing that a few times and your horse will not want to be bridled anymore. So I have Willie here. He is an English dressage horse. We have his English snaffle bridle here. We're going to show you how to put this one on. It is a little bit different from a Western bridle because we have the added nose band and just a few pieces that are a little bit bigger and more bulky. But essentially, placing the bridle on their head is still about the same. I'm going to stand on the horse's left side. We're going to go ahead and remove the halter so that it's not underneath the bridle. Again, with an English bridle, you could leave the halter underneath, but it's going to be a little bit more tricky. There's more pieces to this bridle, so it's going to have to be a little bit looser. You're going to have to be real careful with the fit going over your nose band of the halter. So we're going to remove it completely. Still make sure he's not able to walk away from us while we're putting the bridle on. Okay, so again, he's trying to eat the food on the ground. So again, we're going to make sure our reins are separated out, and we're going to place them. Hey Willie, you're very distracted. I'm going to place them over his head. Okay, and again, I'm going to go ahead, bring the bridle, tilt his nose to the inside. I'm going to hold everything, including that nose band. Ask him to open his mouth. Bring the bridle up. Put his ears forward. Bring the other ear forward. Make sure we don't crunch it underneath that bridle. Now I like to always put the bridle on with the nose band not connected. And that's because the horse has to open his mouth a little bit wider in order to have this bridle put on. If we have the nose band secured prior to putting it over the horse's mouth, he can't open his mouth up as much as he might need to get that bit comfortably in his mouth. So once we have the bridle on, I'm going to go ahead and remove the halter because it's definitely in our way. We're going to put it out of the way so he can't step on it. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and secure the nose band. The nose band always goes underneath your cheek pieces. And we want to make it pretty snug. You only want about 1 or 2 fingers in there. You don't want it too tight, but definitely snug. And again, there's 100 different bridles out there. If you're concerned about it and you need to know exactly how to get the proper fit of your bridle, go ahead and contact an industry professional. So either a riding instructor, or there are actually people who will come out and fit your tack and sell you customized bridles and saddles as well. So those people can be very, very helpful. But we're going to go ahead and make sure he's got a few fingers in there and that his nose band is nice and tight. And then, in addition to the nose band, we're going to have to place that throat latch on as well. So, his is going to come all the way to the top. Willie, put your head up. Okay, all the way to the top. And then we've got an extra keeper down here. It's kind of like a runner free keeper that we're going to put over. There we go. Still make sure we've got 4 fingers in there. He's got, it's quite loose, but it's not too loose. That'll be fine. And then his reins. And that's how we put on an English snaffle bridle. Alfie here is our youngest horse. We're still training him to be part of our string out on the trail and to go to shows and things like that. We oftentimes, right now for training purposes, I'm leaving the halter on underneath his bridle. And that is because a lot of times it's easier for me to get off and do groundwork when I have the halter attached and the lead rope. So we're going to go ahead and show you what it looks like to put the bridle on over the halter. So we'll leave it here. Alfie is particularly difficult to bridle. He's 2 and he is very mouthy. And he's just learning to hold that bit in his mouth. He hasn't had it in there for very long, just a couple months. So again, I'm going to make his bridling experience really good every time, at least as good as I can. The hard thing is he moves around a whole lot, and sometimes he chews on things and moves even more than the other horses. So don't get frustrated. Just be as calm and slow and as smooth as you can be, and things will get better eventually. I'm going to put the reins over his head. Come back here, Alfie. He also is very distracted. Okay, we have a simple snaffle bridle here. I'm going to put my hand over his nose. Ask him to open his mouth. He takes a lot longer because he's still learning how to do this. There we go. That was actually not too bad. And then we'll kindly and gently bring his ears forward like this. So Alfie's bridle, I didn't point this out on the other bridle. Alfie's bridle has something called a chin strap. So the chin strap is going to go underneath the bridle behind the bit, and it's going to attach to the bit behind your reins, or just when you're looking at it. The reins are going to go first, then the chin strap. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that it's not on too tight. So again, I don't know, several fingers in there. Just not too tight. It's gonna kind of hang there. What the chin strap does is it keeps the bit from sliding through their mouth when you're turning. So ideally, I'm trying to train Alfie not to need me to really pull on him at all. But if I do need to pull on him, I want to make sure that the bit stays securely in his mouth as I do that. So if I pull over here, this will just make sure, because it's such a simple snaffle bit, there's no ridges or anything really, it can just slide on through. Okay, Alfie, put your head up. The last thing I'm going to secure, and that all bridles have had that you've seen, have this throat latch. So we're going to go ahead and put that on. There are bridles without throat latches, just so you know. And if yours doesn't have one, that's no problem. It's one less piece that you have to secure. Make sure it's loose enough there as well. But this is Alfie and his HOWDY simple snaffle bridle. Thank you so much for watching and learning how to place both an English and a Western bridle smoothly and humanely on your horse's face. Hopefully you'll have many years of comfortable and fun, happy riding. We'll see you next time.
If you enjoy this video, we'd love to hear from you. Like and subscribe and leave a comment about what you might like to see in future videos. We'll see ya back on the ranch.